In 1848, a railroad worker named Phineas Gage survived a metal rod through his skull. He lived, but his personality was never the same. His brain had been the blueprint for who he was. The brainstem, the oldest part of the brain, controls survival functions. The medulla regulates breathing and heart rate. The pons relays signals between the brain and body and plays a role in sleep and arousal. Damage to either is often fatal. The cerebellum, attached to the back of the brainstem, coordinates movement and balance. It also contributes to procedural memory and fine motor skills. Alcohol impairs the cerebellum, which is why intoxicated people stumble and fail field sobriety tests. The reticular formation is a network running through the brainstem that regulates arousal and alertness. It filters incoming stimuli and decides what reaches consciousness. Stimulants activate it. Anesthesia suppresses it. A damaged reticular formation causes coma. The thalamus is the brain's relay station, sitting above the brainstem. Almost all sensory information except smell passes through the thalamus before reaching the cortex. It directs incoming signals to the appropriate cortical area for processing. The hypothalamus, though tiny, regulates the 4 Fs: feeding, fighting, fleeing, and sexual behavior. It also controls the pituitary gland, linking the nervous system to the endocrine system and regulating body temperature, thirst, and circadian rhythms. The limbic system is a set of structures involved in emotion, memory, and motivation. The key players are the amygdala, hippocampus, and cingulate cortex. It sits between the brainstem and the cortex, linking primitive drives to higher thought. The amygdala is an almond-shaped structure critical for processing fear and emotional memories. It triggers the fight-or-flight response and flags emotionally significant events for storage. People with amygdala damage cannot recognize fear in others' faces. The hippocampus is critical for forming new explicit memories. It consolidates information from short-term to long-term storage. Patient HM, who had both hippocampi removed in 1953, could no longer form any new long-term memories, providing the most famous evidence for its role. The basal ganglia are subcortical structures involved in initiating movement and forming procedural, habit, memories. Parkinson's disease damages basal ganglia, causing tremor and rigidity. Huntington's disease also affects these structures, disrupting movement. The cerebral cortex is the wrinkled outer layer of the brain responsible for higher thought, language, and voluntary movement. Folds called gyri increase surface area. The cortex is divided into 4 lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. The frontal lobe controls executive functions, planning, decision-making, impulse control, and personality. The motor cortex, at the back of the frontal lobe, controls voluntary movement. Phineas Gage's frontal lobe damage destroyed his impulse control and changed his personality. The parietal lobe processes touch, temperature, pain, and spatial awareness. The somatosensory cortex at the front of the parietal lobe maps the body surface. Areas of the body with more nerve endings, like the lips and fingers, have larger cortical representations. The occipital lobe, at the back of the head, is the visual processing center. Damage causes blindness even if the eyes are intact. The visual cortex is organized topographically, with different regions processing orientation, color, motion, and shape. The temporal lobe processes auditory information, language comprehension, and face recognition. Wernicke's area, in the left temporal lobe, is critical for understanding language. Damage causes Wernicke's aphasia, where speech is fluent but meaningless. Broca's area, in the left frontal lobe, controls speech production. Damage causes Broca's aphasia, where comprehension is intact but speaking is effortful and telegraphic. The patient understands everything said to them but cannot produce fluent speech. The corpus callosum is a thick band of nerve fibers connecting the 2 cerebral hemispheres. It allows the left and right brain to share information. Severing it, as in split-brain surgery for epilepsy, creates 2 largely independent streams of consciousness. Left hemisphere specialization includes language, logic, and analytical processing. Right hemisphere specialization includes spatial reasoning, facial recognition, and holistic processing. However, most cognitive tasks use both hemispheres. Lateralization is real, but often overstated. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. After injury, neighboring areas can take over lost functions. Musicians show enlarged auditory cortex. London cab drivers have larger hippocampi from memorizing streets.